Well, I've talked about this heat recovery ventilator a few times, but this is an opportunity for me to really show it off. This is an HRV, heat recovery ventilator, made by Fantech, a German engineered product. The purpose of this is to provide the studio space with fresh air and also to exhaust stale air out of the room at the same rate. This unit has 4 ports. You could see one of them right here, one here, one here, and one here. These right here are the fans. One sucks and one blows, if you will. And this centerpiece right here is called the core. And what happens is the air that is pulled in from the outside, I'm not 100% sure of the direction. Actually, I am. So this right here is the fresh air that comes in from the outside, gets pushed through this core, through to this side, and then through this fan. This is the fan that does the sucking. And then through that vent right there, comes around and pushes air into the room, right here. And then that duct right there is the exhaust side. Air is sucked out of the room through this port, goes through the core, and then with this fan right here gets pushed out into the rear of the home. And I don't know if you can see this, but probably can't. But these ducts run approximately 30 feet all the way out to the rear of the home. Now, this is where the magic happens. This air passes through the core, but it doesn't actually mix. So this all aluminum core, and there are a couple of what do you call them? Filters. These filters can be rinsed off, and the air passes through the core, but it doesn't actually mix. And the concept is that the air that is leaving the room slightly warms the air that's coming into the room. And so they call it a heat recovery ventilator because it recovers some of the heat that is already in the air in the room, and it transfers it to the cold incoming air. That's really only effective that way in cold months. So, for example, and I'm just making up numbers, and they're probably not accurate, but if, say, it's 38 degrees outside and a nice toasty 75 degrees inside, that 75 degree air slightly warms that 38 degree air coming in, and it makes it more like 40 something, maybe low 50s. Still not warm enough to be toasty warm, but it's less cold than it otherwise would be, and therefore the heating system in the space doesn't need to work so hard. I've always said that I don't expect that the studio is going to have a problem being too cold. If anything, it'll be too warm with this drummer body working up a sweat. And you know, if anybody has any amps in there jamming with me, that could be a source of heat as well. But it was only another couple $100 to get the heat recovery ventilator, as opposed to just a straight ventilation system that sucks and blows, if you will. So that's it. I can provide a link to the exact product that I purchased, assuming that it is not discontinued. And then what I did today is I used these chains and what do you call this? Buckle something. Forget what it is. But it basically allows me to clamp down this thing so that it's tighter. I was just using these aluminum straps, and it was really wobbly, and I want to make sure that it's good and secure for when it gets inspected. It looks a little shaky, but it's actually not. It's actually tied to this platform. This right here is a drip tray for condensation, and of course there's a primary condensation line right here. The drip tray is just in the event that the primary condensation line gets clogged, and then the moisture that might be captured in this thing with nowhere else to go, it will at least drip into the pan. The pan is also piped to, you can kind of see the secondary pipe right over there. Sorry. Way over there. It's right there. You can see that little elbow right there. That is the secondary line, and I actually have them tied into the air conditioning system for the home, which has the same principle. There's a primary condensation line on the air handler and a secondary tray underneath. The reason that that secondary tray there is to protect against damage to the home if the primary line gets clogged up, and the output on the outside of the house actually comes out over a window, which is by code it's required to do that so that it gets the homeowner's attention that there's a malfunction in the condensation line that needs to be addressed. I've actually had that happen a couple of times with our AC, and I've used a shop vac to suck out the goo that's stuck in there, and then it works fine after that. So anyway, that's that. I'm gonna put the door back on this thing and call it a day.